Hi, everybody, and welcome to Lovefraud Live. This is the show where you learn about disordered personalities. Do you have absolute proof that your partner is cheating, but he or she denies it? When you confront your partner about cheating, does he or she say that it's all your fault? Does your partner pick a fight with you and then use the fight as an excuse to storm out of the house and see someone else? I'm Donna Andersen, author of Lovefraud.com, and today we're talking about why psychopaths will never stop cheating. This is a live streaming show, and I'll answer your questions after I finish this presentation, so please go ahead and send them to me as we go along. If you answered yes to the questions that I just asked, you may be involved with a psychopath, or possibly an antisocial or a narcissist. This is bad news. People with any of these disorders make terrible romantic partners. Now remember, at Love Fraud, I use the word sociopath as an umbrella term for people who could be diagnosed with antisocial, narcissistic, borderline, histrionic, or psychopathic personality disorders. People who have these disorders all treat their partners badly and play similar games, although the reasons why they do it may be different. For example, antisocials, narcissists, psychopaths, and histrionics all tend to cheat and be promiscuous, mostly because they want to. Borderlines also have relationship problems, but their issues are often the result of anxiety, shame, or abuse. So today, I'm mostly talking about psychopaths and antisocials. Here are 4 reasons why they will never stop cheating. Reason number 1: all psychopaths want in life are power, control, and sex. Psychopaths are wired differently from the rest of us. If you're a relatively normal person, you want love in your life. You cherish your important relationships. You want to feel connected to other people. Psychopaths don't. They view other people as objects to be manipulated. Psychopaths are incapable of feeling love. This is the core of the disorder. So love, meaning an authentic connection to another person, well, it means nothing to them. Instead, they derive their satisfaction from power, control, and sex. Here's reason number 2. For psychopaths, romantic relationships are just the means to an end. Here's what happens when psychopaths meet you. They evaluate you to see if you have anything that they want. They figure out your vulnerabilities. Then they manipulate your vulnerabilities to get what they want. Psychopaths look at a romantic partner as someone to provide them with narcissistic supply. So, what is narcissistic supply? It's anything that the psychopath happens to want at the moment, such as sex, a home, money, an image of respectability, whatever. They are always looking for new sources of supply. So if they encounter someone who may have something else that they want, well, they just go through the process again with the new target. They evaluate the person to see what it is that he or she may have that they want. They figure out his or her vulnerabilities, and then they manipulate those vulnerabilities in order to get what they want. Here's reason number 3 why psychopaths will never stop cheating. They view romantic relationships as entertainment. As I said, psychopaths don't feel the emotional pull of love. They pursue romantic relationships because they want something. Sometimes what they want is simply entertainment. They like being the puppet master. I talked about this on Love Fraud Live a few weeks ago. They like pulling the strings and getting you to respond. Because when they When you do, it means that they have successfully manipulated you. Psychopaths also experience duping delight. They get a charge out of pulling one over on you, of getting you to believe their lies. So sometimes psychopaths pursue you just to see if they can hook you. And when they succeed, game over. And they dump you with no consideration at all for your feelings. With the internet, this is easier than ever. Here's how it goes. John strikes up an online friendship with Mary. John tells Mary that he's head over heels in love with her. Mary doesn't buy it because they've never even met. But John keeps pursuing Mary, wanting to talk and text all the time, making promises for the future. Mary finally falls for John. After all, he's been so determined about pursuing her that he must really be in love. And as soon as Mary returns John's professions of love, he dumps her. Mary is crushed and confused. John didn't get anything from her. They never met. They didn't have sex. She didn't give him any money. So what did he want? The answer? Only the entertainment of seducing her. Finally, here's reason number 4 why psychopaths will never stop cheating. They are always on the lookout for a new sexual thrill. Psychopaths have a need for excitement and stimulation, including sexual excitement. Because they get bored easily, they're always on the lookout for a new type of sex. Now, this could mean a new partner, or it could mean a new type of partner. A man might want to try sex with another man, or a transsexual. Or the next sexual thrill could mean even a kind of deviant experience. Pedophilia, bondage, maybe sadomasochism. You may feel like your partner's interest in sex has waned. It may not be their interest in sex, just sex with you. They're still looking for someone or something new and exciting. Let me give you an example of this. Shortly after I met my psychopathic ex-husband, James Montgomery, I asked him if he'd been tested for AIDS. He proclaimed, and I quote, "I don't have a gay bone in my body." Well, 2 years later, I left him when I discovered that he'd been cheating on me. But a few months after that, when I was going through the documents that he left in my basement, I found emails he exchanged with a gay male prostitute. He was arranging an encounter, and he told this person that he was bored of women and wanted a different experience. I was so shocked and appalled that I called a girlfriend up and asked her to meet me at a bar for drinks. So, is your partner a psychopath or sociopath? If you're not sure, you might want to get Lovefraud's exclusive checklist. There's a link in the description below the video window. If your partner checks a lot of the boxes on the checklist, he or she is probably disordered. One of the big warning signs, of course, is cheating. So I want you to know this. When you're involved with a psychopath or another type of exploiter, there's nothing you can do or ever could have done to prevent or stop the cheating, no matter what your partner says to you. So this is the benefit of knowing that your partner is disordered. The knowledge gives you the power to set yourself free. Despite what the psychopaths say, their behavior is not your fault. It never was. They are going to cheat. It is what they do. So do not blame yourself. Do not feel guilty. Do not feel like you need to honor your commitment to him or her because it was never a mutual commitment. Give yourself permission to leave, recover, and find the loving partner that you truly deserve. Okay, let's see what kind of questions we have today. Take a look. So Monica says, chances are if you sense that someone is sizing you up, they're a sociopath. And that's a really good observation, because often you can sense it. You can sense that they're, trying to figure out what you might have to offer. So your instincts will tell you if someone is doing that, and if you get that sensation, you should definitely pay attention to it. Okay, so Toxic States of America says, I think with narcissists they have an issue of entitlement. They were spoiled and subjected to little or no boundaries or discipline. They cheat because they're adult brats. Um, they definitely have a sense of entitlement, but I'm not sure that I would say that this can be blamed totally on their upbringing. The research shows that a lot of these disorders have genetic components. The genetics do interact with the parenting that they receive, but it's not necessarily whether or not they had enough discipline. Because, in all honesty, if a child has a predisposition to these disorders, what needs to happen is that they need to be taught how to love. Punishing them usually doesn't work. I mean, that's what the research has shown. They're more motivated by getting something that they want as opposed to being punished for what they did. So yes, you could say that they're adult brats, but the route that they got there might be a little bit different than simply a lack of discipline. Okay, what else do we have? All right, Toby says, what's the chance of me ever getting paid back even of the portions of the money that I left my ex-sociopath? If yes, I will keep no contact and remain kind. If no, I'd love to explode, even if it only by email. It's pretty rare that sociopaths will pay you back. And the only reason that a sociopath will pay you back is if they are view it as some type of an advantage, or if they're forced to. Now, if you're in a position where you can force the sociopath to pay you back, and that's really hard. I mean, in order to do it like legally, or to file a lawsuit, you need to have a document that expressly says that the person promises to pay you back. And if you don't have a written document with the signature on it that this person promises to pay you back, your case is really, really weak, because even if you have all this documentation, copies of your checks, if you don't have a signed document saying that, this is a loan or an investment and the person's going to pay you back, it's pretty hard to enforce. Maybe if there's some type of threat that you can have, some kind of exposure or some other way to exert power over them, then you might have a possibility of getting the money back. But if all you have is his word or his or her word, and you're counting, on the person doing the right thing, well, they don't do the right thing. So I don't think, unless you have some means of forcing the person to pay up, it's not probably going to happen. Okay, what else do we have? All right, so Edur, I hope I'm saying that right, Edur, is asking how I was able to publish my book and expose my sociopathic ex-husband. Well, first of all, I was married to him, and in my divorce, I was able to prove that he committed fraud, and the judge wrote an order. The final order of divorce did say that he committed fraud. So I had a court document saying that the guy committed a crime, and that made a big difference. The main consideration, if you're going to write about someone or try to expose them, is whether or not they have the ability and the propensity to file a lawsuit against you. Um, it doesn't really matter if everything that you say in your book is absolute truth. I mean, even if it is the truth, truth is a defense against a claim, but anybody can file a lawsuit for anything. So the sociopath can file a lawsuit against you, and even if everything you say is true, you still have to hire a lawyer, or you may have to hire a lawyer to defend yourself. So the key consideration if you're trying to expose a sociopath, and this is I'm talking here about publishing, or in the media or social media, or something like that. The key consideration is whether or not he or she has the resources to sue you, and whether or not you have the resources to defend yourself. That's the key thing that you need to consider. And I actually have more information on Lovefraud about this. There's a page called Exposing the Sociopath, What You Need to Know. So if you want to take a look at that, I go into this in a lot more depth. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, CC is me says, how can you teach someone to love? It's really such a base feeling. It's possible when you're dealing with young children. It's not something that can be done once a disordered person is an adult. So there's a window of time, while a child is young, where you can teach them to value human connection and value human closeness. Because this is what happens when a young child is born with a genetic predisposition to be disordered, to be psychopathic or antisocial or even narcissistic. What's missing is this automatic ability to feel love. I mean, that's actually the missing part. And it can be nurtured when they're young. In fact, my colleague, Dr. Leanne Leadham, has written a book about this, which is called Just Like His Father, where she talks about the steps that you can do to do this. And the main thing is when the child, especially is when they're an infant and very young, is you want to physically hold them so that they get used to liking the closeness of being next to another person. So that's the first step. And there's other things that you can do as a parent to try and nourish the child's ability to love. But as I said, it's not something that can be taught to an adult. There's a short period of time during childhood where there's a possibility, but later on it becomes impossible. Okay, what else do we have? All right. Well, it looks like that's the end of the questions for tonight. So I thank everybody for joining me for this episode of Lovefraud Live. And we'll be back next Tuesday with another topic. Good night. Thank you so much.